Our guests on today's episode are Wyatt and Landon Mund of Dakota Dirt Coffee. So they're brothers, and then their third business partner, Beau, who couldn't be on this episode with us. We're all born and raised in the small town neighboring to me here in Oaks of Milnor, North Dakota. We talk in this episode about how they started Dakota Dirt Coffee, and I think there's so much for every single one of us to learn about. Like every person that wants their small town to grow and thrive, listen to the way they approached, like why they started this business there, how it started. It's like they have no limits in their minds of what's possible for them. And every single one of us is capable of recruiting back talent like this to our small towns. So I was actually first introduced to them because I got to serve their coffee on my bus tour. So I arranged to pick up their coffee locally in Milnor. And then, our bus left from Fargo. So an awesome local brewing company or coffee company in Fargo brewed it for me. And so I served this coffee to everybody on the bus, and it was super special. And then we got to drive right by where they're putting up their facility and point that out to the bus members. And it was just so much fun. And I'm so glad to finally have them on. They offer a lot to again, just as that constant reminder that everything is possible to us in small towns. You're going to love them, I'm sure, as much as I do. And then please check out their website. Everything you need to know is linked in the show notes. Enjoy this episode with Landon and Wyatt Mund of Dakota Dirt Coffee. All right. Well, hey guys, welcome to the Growing Small Town Show.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, so there's actually 3 of you that own this business, right? So I don't know which one of you wants to start. And 2 of the 3 of you are related, right? And then there's a friend.
Yeah, the 2 of us on here now, Wyatt would be my brother, and I being Landon.
Yeah.
And the third one is Beau Goolsby. But yeah, we're all 3 really good friends at the base of it. But as far as the company goes, we started, almost a year and a half ago now. It hasn't quite been that, but we officially launched last September of 2020.
So who wants to tell kind of the genesis? Like, what's your origin story? How did you guys start this? And why coffee and why Milnor, North Dakota? And also for our listeners, tell us how big Milnor, North Dakota is.
Yeah. So, a little background on it. Milnor is a town size of, what is it, Landon? 750, 800 people?
Yeah, if that. It's kind of seems like it's shrinking by the day, but it's close to 700.
Yeah. So we're, born and raised, Landon and myself are 11 months apart, and Beau is a couple years older, but, all really good friends growing up and have continued as we have gone on to college and life after college too. After college, we just started thinking of different business ideas. We knew we wanted to do something together. We're always hanging out, whether it be playing basketball, a pickup game, or just out at the bar, having a beer. That's when it really hit us that, we all really enjoy coffee. We wanted to learn more about that process and how it would, start a business selling coffee.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about that process. Like how did you research it? And by the way, like I will always jump in with my personal observations of things like this, but I think it's a very cool origin story to simply look around and say, all right, like, what do I love? And who do I love to hang out with? Like, it doesn't sound like a super solid business plan just at first blush, but I think it's fantastic. So I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah. And Landon's probably going to be the best one to answer more on the nitty gritty of coffee, because I call them the bean chefs. Landon and Beau do a lot of the things. They know more about that.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So as far as getting up and running, there wasn't a lot of downtime to stop and think how we were going to do it. We just kind of wanted to jump into it, and so we right away. I was living up in West Fargo at the time, and now I've moved back since then to my hometown of Milnor here.
Mm-hmm.
But so when we started, it was kind of right during COVID. We said, hey, let's do coffee. And now looking back, it's kind of funny because we've gone to a few trade shows and everybody asks, why coffee? Why 3 guys in their late 20s, starting a coffee business, a coffee roastery. That seems kind of funny. And, looking back, it does, but it just fit for us. Like Wyatt said, all three of us drink a lot of coffee. And it was something we wanted to just, have our own finger on, try to roast our own, do it for a hobby. We had been doing it as a hobby somewhat when we had kind of started talks and discussions of making a company around coffee. And that was very brief, but it was something that we all found a lot of fun and joy. And so, we bought a small roaster. It was actually a dual purpose one. It had a stirrator and you could pop popcorn in it. It was just very small. And so we made a few batches and said, I think if we're ever going to give this an actual try for a business, we're going to need to invest a little bit. And so that's what we did. We bought 2 Alio bullets, which are, they can roast about 2.5 pounds each at a time of coffee. So that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but for us at that point, it was a big jump, and we've grown since then, which we can get into here down.
Yeah. Okay. I want to back up though and ask, why roasting? And why roasting versus?
Well, yeah, no, that's a great question. Roasting was kind of came to the top for each of us because we all saw this business as something we wanted to try to turn and start at our hometown of Milnor. And a coffee company is kind of what we wanted to form, but we wanted to be centered around roasting because there's a lot of coffee shops and stuff around the big city of Fargo. There's even some smaller coffee shops in smaller towns that I've been to, such as Lisbon, and those are great. But for us, there had been some coffee shops in Milnor in the past. They hadn't really worked out as great. It's a smaller community than probably you're familiar with, even Oaks or Lisbon. But a coffee roastery was something we said didn't need to be open to the public per se. Not that we don't have plans of opening a coffee shop down the road, but it's something that we could do on the side more so.
Yeah. So do all three of you have full-time other jobs currently?
Yes, we do. I farm with my dad, and then I also do crop adjusting.
Okay.
And so Beau Goolsby, he owns some real estate. He does rental properties with some townhomes and some houses in Milnor and Hankinson.
Okay.
And then he also owns a lawn care business with another partner of his. So Wyatt, I'll let you expand on your role.
Yeah. And I'm a marketing manager for Sun Butter here in Fargo, North Dakota.
Oh, cool.
Yep. I'm one of the 3 that lives in Fargo still.
Yeah. Okay. And Wyatt, the only one of the 3. That's good. We'll forgive you. What? We'll forgive you, and we'll welcome you back to God's country when you're ready. Okay. But Wyatt, you're the marketing guy. Yeah, is that right?
That's right. Yeah, and the first year, Landon and Beau always gave me crap about wondering what exactly I did.
It's because you get to say I'm in marketing. What do you? That's what I do. I'm in marketing.
Right. And it is, a lot of times during the week, they're doing the roasting and production, and they're not seeing the marketing side. But then on the weekends, I do come home and help when I can with fulfillment. But from the marketing side, I mean, when we say we want to do a coffee company, we're all like, okay, we don't want a coffee shop. We want to do direct to consumer, 100% online, not an actual store location. And for us, we were like, okay, well, that means, we want to roast our own coffee because we want to be unique. But even at that angle, there are a lot of coffee shops that are starting to roast their own coffee.
Yep.
Really took it a step further, and we wanted to be centered around the Midwest. That's our market. If you've looked at all like our signature blends, they're all focused around Midwest themed, Dakota Dirt brand name.
Yep.
And that's kind of one of our pillars is 1 being direct to consumer, and then 2 being that fun Midwest personality.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about that, because your videos in particular are irreverent, I guess would be the word that I would use to describe your brand. It's kind of offbeat, right? It's like quirky and they're super funny. Like I enjoy them immensely. So what is that, like who you guys are as guys? Where did that kind of sensibility, I guess, for this brand come from?
Yeah, honestly,
Yeah,
I would say so. I mean, we do have a lot of fun just making the videos, and the scripts kind of I come up with a few ideas, and Landon and Beau kind of run with them, and they become actors of their own.
Yeah. Who's the guy in the tub?
that was Landon right here.
I like just watched it today and I just chuckled. So we will absolutely be sure that we get the links to, I mean, obviously we'll link to your website, but everybody listening, you need to check out their hilarious videos. And who punched the pumpkin? Who did that?
That was Beau.
Yeah.
God, no, so funny. Like I actually burst out laughing, which is so delightful. So well done, guys. It's fun to see that kind of personality with something like coffee. And I do think it's important because, like you said, if you don't have something to kind of anchor that, like, how else are you creating a customer experience? Right? Like when it's direct to consumer, the way that you're doing it. So really, really cool. So you guys started out a year and a half ago roasting several kind of key signature blends is what you call them. And then I know you do a few seasonals here and there. But what comes next for you? Because, by the way, I drove by your facility and I actually had my kid take a picture. I'm like, oh, take a picture of that. And I said, that way I'll remember. I'm like, they have got to get on my show. Holy, that went up fast. So tell us, like, what's with the physical location? What are you guys doing in it? What do you want to see happen with it?
Yeah, so up till this point, we have been operating out of Beau has kindly renovated his double stall garage, and we've been operating out of that shop as our roastery shop for the time being. And like I said, it's obviously not been open to the public, but it's been great for getting our production. But we've had a busy summer, and we were in the talks with Fultz, a building company out of Detroit Lakes, and late this spring, I guess, or early this summer, we decided to build a 40 by 64 building that we hope that will not only be our coffee roasting facility, but also allow us to hold events and have things such as a drive-through coffee shop coming up here.
Yeah. So you'll like actually let the public come in and kind of experience your roasting process, right? That's what I picture anyway. Is that right? Is that accurate?
Yeah. Much like you'd see a brewery do. That's
sure.
Kind of what we want to have happen. Wyatt, you?
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that too, it's again, we're going to have the manufacturing side and really just an opportunity for us to create more content in a bigger building space. But then the secondary deal there with the drive-through, being able to create this kind of roadside attraction, and maybe on weekends even Landon and Beau dressed up in the roastery aprons, doing like a coffee tour where it ends in a flight of coffee that you can try different types.
Yeah.
Really in the early stages of planning that kind of stuff, but there's the possibilities really are endless on that.
So have you guys kind of played around with the idea of collaborations with other companies? Like, has that been sparked at all with a physical location?
It has. We've been talking briefly with Fargo Brewing Company.
Sure. Yep.
Which isn't a local to Fargo, or local to Fargo, but not to Milnor. And then Proof Distillery. I don't know if you've heard of them at all.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah.
That's another one that's, coffee and liquor go good together too. So
don't they though? Don't they? Yeah. I was hoping that you were going to tell me, actually, those were two that popped into my head right away. Sure. Well, I get excited about this. Obviously, you're not far from me, which is super cool. But I just think you guys are really an example of what a little hustle and passion for something and good friendship and camaraderie among business partners, what can be created. It's super cool. So tell us a bit about how you actually, well, because you do all direct to consumer. So do you sell in stores at all? Because you do, don't you?
Right. That's kind of grown organically over the past.
Yeah.
We got into Shields Sports Store and Shields Hardware of Fargo
Okay.
last Christmas season, and that's been, a good consistent orders from them, and that really opened the door to really every ma and pa boutique type store in Fargo.
So from a business model standpoint, which have you preferred?
Well, we definitely like direct to consumer as our main lever, just because that's one of our things we pride ourselves on, is being fresh, roasted, as much as we can, and creating that direct to consumer experience of, oh my gosh, I just ordered a day or two ago and here's the coffee. And, how can we implement surprise and delight situations with that experience?
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun for us. But even on the retail side, one way we're trying to keep true to that is keeping the order quantities low and more frequent.
Yep.
So just any way we can help keep the coffee fresh, that's what we want to do.
So do you have any examples of surprise and delight tactics that you've used that you are willing to actually share?
Yeah, I mean, for starters, for our subscription, you see a lot of different ways that companies are trying to get people locked in on subscriptions. For us, we're giving a free month on the subscription. So if you order 3 bags a month, you're going to get that first month free of 3 bags. And then for the holidays here, we're looking at doing some sort of mug, custom Dakota Dirt mug with just as a surprise item for our subscribers as one way.
Landon, any thoughts on that?
Not so much on that. I guess why it's kind of sticking to the marketing, but I'm more in the production, but there's a lot that goes on without me knowing, but
well, see, Landon, he is doing something then. I mean,
right.
clearly,
Yes,
yeah, look at that. He's absolutely.
Well, the funniest thing has been during this getting close to this holiday time. There's times where it's slower, and we're like, Wyatt, you need to turn up the marketing a little bit. But then there's times like now where we're wrapping up with fall harvest and things, and it's getting busy, and we're like, Wyatt, you can maybe backpedal a little bit.
Dial it back, Wyatt. Oh, that's hilarious. So, what do you guys feel has been some of the biggest things you've learned about? I'm going to narrow this down for you just a little bit. What are the biggest things you've learned about going into business with like friends and / family? Because that's not always easy. Yeah. I'm just going to say it's not.
No, it's not, and it's it's still not a cakewalk at all. There's times, where, Wyatt and I, we're kind of used to arguing with each other and getting over it.
Yeah.
And then Beau just, that adds a whole nother wrinkle because he's both, one of our best friends. So it's a lot of accountability, I think, is the key, and making sure everybody is open to doing anything that it takes, and realizing that everyone's schedules aren't going to always line up perfectly. So there's a lot of give and take, I think, that everyone has to bring to the table.
Yeah. Wyatt, do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, Landon did say a lot of good stuff there of some of the pain points we've had too, and learning, because at the end of the day, all three of us have different things we bring to the table. Different, I'm on the marketing side, Landon, Beau on production and manufacturing more so. But, we're having to come up with these ideas. We have to, kind of argue about them or go back and forth on what we think we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing. And none of us are taking, a pay cut. So there is a lot of accountability when it comes to like putting in hours and making sure that we're all aligned on what initiatives we're doing. Yeah, that's kind of just one of the big things, is just being transparent with each other. And, not letting things bottle up. I mean, we're all really open about things, and that has helped tremendously of just like getting things out there. And I think definitely having 3 helps a lot more than if we were just to have 2 of us.
Yeah.
For sure.
It makes a difference.
So when you organized, did you have pretty set documentation in place to kind of protect yourselves not from each other, but just, or was it pretty informal?
I mean, we had things somewhat set up, as an LLC. We set the business up, and we, as far as each party's share was a third. So, I mean, we had just a small document written up to kind of, like what were to happen, this would happen next, and
Yeah.
that type of thing. But, overall, though, I'd say it was mostly informal
Okay.
and just talks amongst ourselves.
Yeah. And
But-
I think one of the big things is too, going into it, we knew who we were getting in bed with.
Right.
It does make a difference on that too. Landon and I have lived together from, all through growing up to all through college. So I'm 26 now, but I lived with Landon until I was 24.
Yeah.
So definitely, know how to talk to each other and argue and get over things. And with Beau too, growing up with him as a friend. And all of us having a passion and really a strong drive.
Mhm. Yeah.
That helps a lot.
Yeah. Okay. How about the things that you've learned about being in a food related business? Because personally, I find food of any kind, like if anybody's doing that, I'm always just like, well done, you, because I just, there's that consistency. Like there's just so many things you have to get right. And it's food. It's a consumable, right? So what have you learned about that? Like things that any lessons that you can share? Because I just, again, thinking about this, guys, like I talk to people like you, where I try to find people like you that have done something that I see as cool, right? In a very small community. The goal is that anybody listening to this can be like, I love this thing. And I love these people. And what if we were, it's just to spark the idea of possibility for people, right? So lessons that you learn are always so good to hear, I think.
Well, I would say with this building, and maybe this isn't the
No, you're
what
good.
you were thinking, but
You're good.
With this building, I've learned a lot about all the steps we need to take in order to be up to code per se, with the North Dakota health and stuff like that. So, for instance, I didn't realize how many sinks we needed to have in this facility, but we made sure to check all those boxes and have it set up so that when we open up shop, it's all up to code. But Wyatt, you can probably touch more on the food side of things.
Yeah, I mean, even with renovating Beau's garage, it's like we're putting holes in his roof and all these different things just to make sure we're up to code. But working at Sun Butter, I don't know if you're familiar with them at all. Right?
I am. Yep, I am.
I've been there for over 4 years now, and so I did get, I've gotten a peek behind how a well-running manufacturing company, how it looks, things to do, things not to do, and then just the food world in general. Going to trade shows and all these different things. It's helped a lot.
Well, I believe that. Yeah, I believe that's been super helpful. And so did you guys at one point, were you operating under what's commonly called Cottage Law? Or were you always, even when you started in Beau's garage, was it basically you had to retrofit it to meet?
We did have to retrofit.
Okay, yeah.
Cottage Law is when you're able to just sell online. Is that correct?
Well, I don't even know, honestly. I mean, it's basically like for anybody that bakes things too, right? If they bake like I don't know if it's the amount or if it's just the venues that they sell. I mean, there's obviously a few things that end up checking it, or boxes that would be checked that would end up being like, nope, this is a commercial facility versus, baking out of your kitchen and selling them. But
right. And what I'm familiar with is once you start doing retail or like trade shows, then you have to get commercially fit.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you did that from the start.
Yeah. And it's just been, now that we have the opportunity to plan it the way we want to plan it with this building, it's just been another step of like working with the state of like, okay, here's our plan for the layout. What do you think of this? And going back and forth to Landon's point on all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think if Beau could be here? What has Beau articulated to you two as far as some of the things that he's loved the most or learned the hard way?
Well, I think he's learned that he misses his garage. That's we're always, like boy, you're gonna get a double stall garage here pretty soon once we move out. And
Yeah, he's gonna be
he's counting
stoked.
down the days, but
Are you
no,
guys gonna be out by winter?
that's the plan. Yeah, we're
Good.
hopefully going to be able to move even some stuff in before Thanksgiving here, hopefully. So
Cool.
so the building's all complete. There are some interior walls that need to be finished up, and then some plumbing and electrical need to be finished before
Sure.
that. But so yeah, hopefully by early December we can get moved in and start up shop there. But no, Beau's been very, very generous with the garage portion of it as far as us getting off our feet, and that was really the only way to do it, wouldn't you say, Wyatt? I mean,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when we started, we really didn't have, we were running before we even hit the ground. So we kind of just relied on Beau on that avenue. And then, one thing Beau has definitely contributed a lot on is process innovation, and just making sure that we're efficient with our processes.
Cool.
Yeah, that makes a world of difference, if you're being efficient or not, and looking at different things you're doing and how they can be improved.
So, did all of you go to school beyond high school? And if so, what did you study?
I took up Ag Econ at NDSU, and this is Landon talking.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's what I did for 4 years. Graduated from NDSU, and Beau is a couple years older than us. He actually just turned 30, which he doesn't like us to mention, but he.
Well, it's all right.
What's that?
30 is you guys are so young. Like,
Yeah.
I'm basically rolling my eyes here listening to it. You're fine.
Yeah, but no, he went to M State and went for construction management, actually. So he's very mechanically minded, which has, like Wyatt just mentioned, that's played a big role with what we've been trying to do, and any issues that come up, he's been a big help in that area alone. So
Yep. And then Wyatt talking here, I went to NDSU for marketing in the College of Business. Did a couple of corporate type internships, and then been with Sunbutter here for almost about 4.5 years now.
Cool. So I only asked that question because I think, again, we live in a time, and you guys are such a great example of this, that even if you choose to go to school, as all three of you did, and get a 4-year degree, as all three of you did, like you would I'm looking at your 3 majors, right? Ag Econ, marketing, construction management, and anybody like just looking at that would say, how the hell does coffee fit into that?
yeah,
Right. But the point is,
Right.
the point is, like, there's never been a time like the time we're living in to learn something, to try something, and you can do that from anywhere. And that's just such at least I hope that it fills everybody with so much hope and possibility, for what we can create if we have the desire to. Yeah, it's really, really cool.
For sure. And I honestly, when I got out of college, I wanted to be involved with the farm. I didn't know if I was going to, go back to Milnor to do that or not. But this is I graduated college in 2017. So it's going on 5 years ago now. And I started out in Fargo at an office job, and I didn't particularly, love it per se. So that, just looking back, it just feels so good to, be back in a smaller community, and be doing something that working towards, I guess, my dream or our dream.
So what comes next for you guys? Like, what do you hope happens with Dakota Dirt?
I mean, we bounce around a lot of ideas, and really with all of us having other jobs at the same time, we have to be mindful of what initiatives we take on and what we pass on, just because time is so limited. And I think that's an issue for everyone, that they just feel like they don't have enough time to do everything. So we really try to plan a lot around it. One thing we know we want to do is just continue growing our brand presence across the Midwest. We've really focused on the Fargo, southeastern North Dakota, small towns, Fargo, that area first. And now we're trying to branch off across North Dakota and the Midwest, expanding our market there. We just are planning to do that through creating content and having that online presence. as far as like avenues of business that we can continue growing in, fundraising has been one thing that continues to be a nice addition for our business. Lana, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess since this is the growing small towns podcast, we should
It sure
mention,
is.
I mean,
Yeah.
all these fundraisers have been through smaller communities and towns. So that's been really eye-opening. And even from launching as a business, I don't think if we were three guys from Fargo South High School, no knocks on that high school, but I don't think that, three guys from there forming it would have gotten as much support from, a group of 1,000 people and plus, like we did here in Sargent County.
Mm-hmm. So explain fundraising in the context of a for-profit business.
Yeah. So we're looking at fundraisers. Our local track coach actually approached us and said, "Hey, do you guys want to do a fundraiser this year?" And then we're like, "Oh, crap, that's a good idea." And because you look at it, there's like you can do the frozen pizzas or the frozen pastries, or a bunch of random like crap toys for young kids.
Yeah.
But for coffee, I mean, everyone drinks it. You're selling to people in the Midwest, local, and pretty much every school, every group does fundraising in some form. So for us, that's, we sell it to these organizations at our wholesale price. And so they get a cut of every bag sold, and then we get a cut as well.
Right.
Then we incentivize it with different things like Shields gift cards and whatnot. But it's been really just another way to grow our consumer brand, because all these people are getting exposed to the brand, and they're ordering from the fundraiser, but then they have the chance to order again just because they liked it.
That is really smart, guys. Partially, okay, so you're hitting a couple of big things, like it's school fundraisers. What parent doesn't want something that they actually want? I mean, like I say parents, the kids, there's air quotes around, the kids do the fundraising, which we all know it's like really moms and dads that a lot of times are out, beating the streets for their children's activities. But I think it's really cool because small towns, schools are the heartbeat of our communities.
Yep.
So, and also again, just that kind of grassroots thing. And like you said, being from a small town, being from Milnor yourselves, it tells a good story, right? And it's not just that it tells a story, that's actually who you are. But it certainly helps, I think, kind of root that brand in people's minds. Awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, beyond that too, promotional items has really started to take off for us, where, we use our retail bag, but then we create like a custom label for it.
Yeah. Cool. And you've got merch, I saw.
Yep.
Well, we have some merch. We'd like to improve the merch, but with opening up this new facility in Milnor, we hope that we can, extend that line of production as well. So we can actually get out some, high quality T-shirts and sweatshirts and things like that.
Yeah, that's really cool. So I have one last question as I think about your beginning. Who did you sell to first? Like people, like physical people. Did you have how did you start?
Well, Wyatt had a wedding end of July, July 2020, and we kind of came out to the public then. I had my best man speech, and I had mentioned it there. And we had about, I don't even know, we had a whole bunch of samples prepared, but the bags the packages that we were going to put the coffee ended up being delayed, so we weren't able to hand them out at the wedding. So what we ended up doing was sending them through mail to some of the guests that were there. So that's kind of the first few people we've shared the coffee with.
So then did you have some sort of like order your first bag and get so much off or something?
Yeah, it was actually with my wedding thank yous that we made it work. So
it was your wedding?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so it was like 400 plus thank yous, and we had these like 2.8 ounce samplers of our coffee with a little custom note about Dakota Dirt Coffee. Yeah, really kind of the local community and family, which is a good base to have.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Like, I'm like, listen up, listeners. Just get hitched. Like, find a good spouse, and then launch your company there. That's
and see if your spouse will go for it.
yeah, exactly. It's a really it's great timing, obviously. But what a smart way. That's really, I mean, again, thinking like how do you get a mass amount of people at one thing? Like weddings it's a great idea. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and it was still, I want to say it was still like a month from the time that a month later was when we actually launched, but at least it got some people talking and trying our coffee out before we were actually open.
Well, isn't that what it's all about? I mean, it's a consumable good, right? You got to get people to try it. That's why Costco has their little sample stations all over. I mean, it's totally the same thing. It's really important. And you can get feedback too, right? You're soliciting feedback on what people like, what people don't like. Okay. So what about, do you ever see yourselves expanding much beyond kind of your signature blends and then occasional seasonals?
Well, one area that we look to expand on in the future here with this new facility is K-Cups too. I mean, you'd be surprised the amount of people that ask about K-Cups. And, I don't really use K-Cups, but now, I look at my parents and other friends and family that drink coffee, and it seems like about 50-50, some of them use K-Cups and some of them brew it another way. So,
well, it's like maybe older folks need just the one cup. It's like I only use a K-Cup when I'm having my afternoon cup after I've drank like the full pot from the morning. So,
right.
I need K-Cups too.
Pot person too. So.
Okay. Well, my gosh, you guys, it's so cool. And in such a short amount of time, also, you launched basically during COVID.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you had the idea and you acted. Which again is like, that's the big takeaway here. I can't say enough. I can't wait until you guys open. When do you think you'll be open to the public in your your new facility?
I guess, talking amongst ourselves, I think sometime here, in the coming spring, we'd like to at least have the drive-through portion open and at some point open up like a retail area too there.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. And to add on that too, if we prove it out that, we don't obviously think that the Milnor coffee shop is going to be like our main source of income for the brand. But if it at least proves that it's successful for the population size there, we've talked with the Horace mayor. They, that granary they have on their main street at all.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. They're looking into how that could potentially, be saved and used as like the staple of Horace as it continues to grow. That'd be something we'd be interested in potentially having a shop around there in the future. But this is just having our home base in Milnor, something we definitely wanted to do. And it's a great way for us to test out concepts like that.
Absolutely. Well, and you guys are, you're en route to Bobcats. Like if people are traveling beyond you, I mean, there's actually a lot of people that travel Highway 13 at different times of the day. So it will be super interesting as you guys kind of collect your data, as you test things out to see what works, to see what doesn't. But I definitely can see the value of a drive-through coffee shop in Milnor. No question.
Yeah, now the struggle has been just to figure out how we can scale on the production side and things like that. Because, it's a good problem to have, but it seems like we're always trying to fight every weekend to get coffee roasted and get it packaged up because we have a show or we have a certain fundraiser that's due. So we're really trying to work together to figure out what the best way to scale is, and that's an ongoing struggle. But
will there ever be a tipping point where you say, okay, we're all in?
Well, we're with this potential drive-through, we definitely know we want to hire at least some 1 or 2 part-time employees to help us. So I think it's starting to come to that tipping point where we want to. And another discussion has been, okay, which one of us would consider dropping one of the full-time gigs and coming over full-time for Dakota Dirt. So it's hard to say, but I think it's just trying to get that boat a little closer to the dock, to step off. But
yeah, I totally get that. And I need to rephrase that because I shouldn't have said all in, because you clearly are all in, just not on a full-time basis. But I did mean that obvious, that leap to full-time doing your business. It is no joke. I mean, let's be real. It's no joke to make that choice, and especially for 3 different people. So yeah, but man, I'm not going to lie. Like, I hope that becomes something that you actually scale fast enough where you go, okay, something's got to give, because it's just exciting. But again, I think it's so important for everybody thinking about starting a business to know it can always stay a side hustle. You get to design this business however you want, and if there's pieces of it that become too time intensive for you guys, you can decide to drop those things. That's the beauty of your mindset, to iterate and test, try things out, see what works, and drop it if you have to. There's always the freedom to do that.
Right. Yeah. And I think one of the driving factors, or one of the benefits, would obviously be to open up a few jobs around our small town of Milnor. I think that's something we all, would find a lot of pride in doing. And I think that'd be a really good thing.
Absolutely. Well, you guys, thank you so much for joining me on the show, and thank you for choosing Milnor. I mean, seriously, thank you for coming back home and, again, being the kind of people that all of our small towns need. It's just so fun to have you so close. I can't wait to come and see your facility when you open in the spring.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely have to have you up there. So.
Absolutely.
Okay, you take care, guys. We'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks for having us.
Yep. Thank you. Appreciate it.